Campers, what is up? My name is Coach Sam. I'm here with Coach Katie and Coach Bill. We're here to teach you tennis fundamentals for about 20 minutes or so. All you'll need is a tennis racket. If not, just a tennis ball will do. That's totally fine. You can grab something else like a water bottle. If not, your best piece of equipment, your imagination. So, Bill, let's get going.
Thanks a lot, Sam. It's so great to be here at Chelsea Piers. I'm so happy to have Katie and Sam with me. We're going to do some exercises today teaching tennis skill development, specifically volleys. Do you know what a volley is? A lot of times they're mistaken between a rally, which is hitting the ball back and forth. What's a volley?
I believe a volley is when you approach net and you step forward and hit the ball over the net.
A volley is a ball you hit out of the air.
Okay.
That's what we're going to work on today, kids. So we're going to work on specifically keeping the ball in the air. And what I want you guys to help me with right away is grab a ball. Come on up here.
All right.
And you're going to start by just doing ups. And I'm going to correct your grip in a moment. I want you to keep it up no higher than your nose. If you don't have a tennis racket at home, you can fudge and use your hand, learning how to give with it like that. Look at how Katie's keeping the ball right at her nose level each time, and I like how she's even moving her feet. And Sam is doing a great job also. You notice, kids, that when he's doing that, he's choking up on the racket a little bit to gain greater racket head control right away. This is a terrific exercise, and once they start doing really well, and they're starting to do really well, I'm going to ask them to do it on the other side of your hand, the back of your hand forward, a backhand. Just do a backhand now, Katie. You're doing great, Sam. Notice how Sam's head is so still. His eyes are following the ball, but his head is not moving. Katie, you're doing an amazing job. Now let's pause for 1 second. That drill is something that you can do anywhere, your backyard, your porch, on the street, in the driveway, in the basement. I want to take you through the basic way of holding the racket. It's called the Continental Grip, to be technical, but it's similar if you were to hold the racket behaving as though it were a hammer and to bang on a nail like that. So you have a V in that position. From this position, you're able to play both a backhand volley and a forehand volley with very modest adjustment in the way you hold the racket. Now, what I'm going to ask my assistants to do right now is add a little bit of spin to the ball. So instead of just blocking it up, I want to see you hitting that ball with a little bit of backspin like that. Yes, it's harder. Now start. Go. Kids, I want to see you doing that at home through the screen. Let's go. Looking good. Get that ball moving. It says Chelsea Piers on it. I want the Chelsea Piers to be a blur. That's great. And when you can do 6 more in a row, Katie, I want you to switch and try to do it on the backhand, which is going to be harder. Sam's already saying it's tough. We've got our first challenge today. Now, Sam, instead of doing it this way, I want you to do it this way. So you're going out. Oh, that's okay. You're going to make mistakes during these exercises. Go out like that. Go out.
Backhand's way tougher.
Backhand is a little bit tougher. You want to lead with that bottom edge forward and get used to that even in this practice exercise. And kids, these are varying degrees of difficulty. If you can't do this, just continue with your ups until you can get to 100 in a row. Once you can get to 100 in a row, you can feel comfortable doing these harder ones. Now, I want to ask you guys to do something a little bit harder, and we're going to do a challenge. A race between our 2 assistants here. You got Katie on my left, Sam on my right. First one to get to 30 without a miss. You got it. Without a miss, you got to go this way. One up, one like this.
Bill, is that a pancake?
Like a pancake.
Okay.
Come on, on your mark.
What's in your pancakes? Just so we can all like visualize.
Blueberry and chocolate.
You get blueberry and chocolate? I was just going to go blueberry.
Oh, it's chocolate banana.
Oh.
Huh,
all right, campers at home, pick your pancake. Let's hear it.
On your marks, first to 30. Get set. Go!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Keep it low and fast.
7,
Keep it low and fast.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
30. Sam beat you.
Oh.
I thought the rule was that you're going to have to walk home, but he's being nice.
Thanks, Sam.
Let's go.
Sam won our first one. I hope you got to 30 also. Now, parents, one of the reasons why tennis is among the greatest sports you can teach young kids is it develops all-around athletic skill development and physical literacy. So now what I want you guys to do is that same exercise, but you're only allowed to be on 1 foot. If your other foot touches the ground, you lose, and you go back to 0. This time we're going to go up to 15. On 1 foot, single leg stability. Go, kids,
is it a competition? No.
Go. Oh, it is a competition. Everything's
Coach
a competition on the tennis court. Now, you're an old soccer player, and I know you played a lot of sports. Great balance. He's moving through the things. You see, parents, how they have to develop that good balance and coordination and single leg stability. If you can do that, Once
Are
you guys get
keeping
to
count, Sam?
15, I want to
know.
see you guys
Let's
do it on the
count,
other
let's
hand.
count. Let's count.
Let's count.
That's terrific. Now try it on your other foot.
Did they beat us? Did they beat us? Who beat us? I think they were keeping count. They're better than we are.
I think that's a one for the campers on that
I
one.
think that's one for campers. Campers, tell us what we need to do. I think they're going to want us to do jumping jack. 1, 2,
When you're
3.
keeping the ball in the air?
No, we lost the bet.
Oh, I see. Go.
1 jumping jack. I'm putting my racket down.
All right.
That's a good one.
I don't want to do any
So
more
you want to
jumping
do those single leg stability exercises with both legs to make those exercises a little bit harder for the kids as they're developing. And I want to make sure that we finish with one last one that's super fun. So I want to do what's called the egg toss. And we're going to have Sam on this side and we're going to have Katie on that side. You're going to have the ball right on the edge of your racket and you're going to toss it to Sam, who's got to catch it. And the ball touches the ground, you lose, and then you have to start again. I want you guys moving closer, about 6 feet apart. Every time you succeed in doing this, kids, you back up 1 full step.
And Coach
The all-time
Bill-
record is one end of the field house to another. We'll see if they can break it today.
Ooh, and Coach Bill, if they don't have a partner at home, what can they do?
If they don't have a partner at home, you can have a parent or an older brother or a younger sister who's tossing the ball and catching it. So
Okay.
there's one person with racket, another person who's artificially tossing and catching it with their hands. That's a great question, Katie.
Would a wall work too?
A wall would work, but it's going to be harder on the wall. If you do it against the wall, you're better served to let the ball bounce once, so you're learning those receiving skills.
Got it. All right.
Don't
Ready,
let
Sam?
that egg splat.
Nice to be on a team with you
Yeah.
now.
Don't let that egg splat. Now, I want you guys to use the correct grip, for heaven's sakes. Good.
Bill, did you just tell us to get a grip?
Get a grip,
Oh,
indeed. Okay, now move
I
back
messed that
in.
up.
Move
My
back in.
fault.
I'm glad our campers on camera are doing a little better. Go. Good. And as the ball arrives, you want to give with it. Show those nice, sweet, soft hands. You better move your feet during this exercise. If you stand still, it's easy to let the egg splat. Good. And now
Making it
Katie
hard on you,
purposely
sir.
made it harder on you, Sam. By throwing it up higher or tossing it faster, it's going to be more difficult for them.
I'm trying to make myself
Bill,
look
how,
good.
how should I stand? Should I be in a
I love the way you're
athletic
standing. You
stance?
want to get your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Bend a little bit because you want to be in an athletic posture to go receive the ball each time. You're doing
And is
great.
it okay that I'm
One
pulling
more.
my arm back?
It's exactly what you should be doing in this exercise if you don't want to splat the egg.
Bill,
Now, if
I'm-
you don't have a tennis ball, you can use a bean bag or you can use a scooch ball or you can use a lot of things, including like a really wet Scott towel. But tennis balls, if you can do it with a tennis ball, you start really building those skills. Sam,
And Bill, why are we doing this? How does this translate to real tennis?
real tennis is all about sending and receiving skills. So you're developing this right from the beginning. You're sending the ball right now and you're learning to track it and receive it. If you can do this in your backyard or in your driveway, it translates directly to how you would be playing while on the tennis court.
And Coach Bill, you said that we've played other sports. How does this help us in other sports?
Well, it's both hand-eye coordination. You can see you're using hands, but you can also see it's foot-eye. You have to move your feet to be in position for the ball, especially when I give Sam a harder ball. Do you see how he had to move for that one? Get back. And let's see how good Sam is, because I'm going to give it to us on his backhand. It's much harder. You see that? It's even for experts like this to mess up. So, hey, guys, we're going to talk about a couple different volleys, and Sam helped us to define this at the beginning of the lesson. A volley is a ball in tennis that you play out of the air. Typically in tennis, the ball arrives, it bounces, and you hit it back, and that's called a forehand or a backhand. We call those ground strokes. A volley is a ball that you hit in the air. There's different variations on the volley. If the ball's in the middle of the court, you can actually take a really big swing at it. If you're close to the net and your opponent's way back, you can do what's called a drop volley, where you hit it softly, so it bounces twice before they arrive. The other one is a block volley. So if the ball comes hard at you, Sam is going to use his backhand so I don't hurt him. Ball comes right to him and he just blocks that back. Let me do it again, Sam. Right at you, so the ball comes right, and it's called a block volley. What we're going to learn today is the push volley. The idea of keeping your hands in front of you, like this, both hands in front of you, using your non-dominant hand, which for me is my left hand because I'm a right-handed player, and I cradle the throw to the racket with my left hand. Keep the racket centered. When the ball comes to my forehand, the right side of my body, I turn both my arms and it's called a unit turn, my body like this, to receive the ball. And then when I go to touch the ball, I crisscross my hands. See that I do that? Good, and you're gonna step with this foot next. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and crisscross those hands, kids, like that. So watch me, Katie. You're not like this, but you're gonna crisscross your hands.
Crisscross my hands.
Go. That was fantastic. The hand above your hand, as though you're wearing 2 wristwatches, and the wristwatches touch. On the backhand, it's different. You keep your hands out in front, still cradling the racket with my non-dominant hand. Get that racket to the side, never further back than my own nose. I show my racket face to the incoming ball, and I spread the hands. Spread my hands like that. Go. Show me. Good. Keep that elbow in close, Katie, and you just throw that racket out.
And Bill, where do we stay if we're not volleying? Is this like a ready position?
That's what's called a ready position. You're doing a great job. Sam, that's a good question. What you want to do, kids, is keep those feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and then you move just as Katie and Sam are demonstrating, toward the ball like that. Toward the ball like that. And I'm going to ask you both to try a really difficult drill right away. Against the wall, I want to see, Sam, you're going to do backhand so the camera can catch you, and Katie, you're going to do forehands. Keep the ball in the air against the wall like that. I want you to lead with the bottom edge so you get a little bit of underspin on each ball. Go.
I don't know if I can do it
Are
backhand.
we doing a competition, Coach Bill?
Well, let's get started so you get a handle on it first.
Oop.
Good.
Already missed.
Start in close. It's harder to hit the ball softly, accurately, than it is to hit it fast, but at least you'll keep the rally going. Develop a little bit of feel by hitting that ball softly each time. Here you go, Katie. Oh, you got another one?
I'll take that one. Thank
Sam, you're doing a great job. Get to the side of that ball.
I haven't let it drop.
That's great. If the ball's not touched the ground, you're winning in this drill.
I already did two, Sam. Oh,
Staying
great.
in close, going softer. Now, as you start to feel a greater measure of comfort, I want each of you players to take 2 giant steps back. See if you can keep the ball in the air from there. Give it a little bit more of a pop. These guys are doing an amazing job because they're hitting against a narrow table. You can use your garage wall. You can use the side of a school. Go down the street and hit against the side of the school where there's a big wall. It's hard to miss the wall. These two players are having to hit against a narrow table, and they're doing an amazing job. Katie, back up 2 steps.
2 steps.
And hit that ball with a little bit more ferocity. You'll notice that the ball's coming back really quickly, so for these volleys, they don't have time to take the racket back. They just get their racket face right behind the ball, and then they smack it forward. Now, the next thing I want to see you guys doing, because you're both doing so great, is take a deep breath. Hey, everybody on camera, give them 2 claps.
Whew.
Now, what you're going to do is you're going to do a forehand and then a backhand, and then a forehand and then a backhand. I'm sorry that you're out of breath.
Are we going back to those pancakes? Because I'm hungry.
God.
Yeah.
As soon as this is done, we're eating. So let's go. Forehand and then a backhand. Katie,
Forehand
let's see
and
what we
a
got.
backhand.
Forehand
Okay.
then a backhand. Right side of your body, then left side of your body, then right side of your body, then left side of your body. Go.
Throwing us for a loop, Coach Bill.
You're doing great. You guys must have been practicing all night. All morning, all day, all night. Look at
And
that.
Coach
You're doing
Bill,
a
if
great
they-
job.
Coach Bill, if someone messes up and they have to do 2, forehands or 2 backhands in a row, that's okay, right?
Of course it is. Yeah,
Okay.
this is just practicing to getting your gauge. And as Katie points out, if you hit a ball and you can't quite get to it, play a second backhand or a third backhand until you gain control of the ball. Even the best players in the world, including Roger Federer, practice against the walls like that. And you move your feet a little bit for each ball, which is ideal. You guys are doing great. I'm going to get a couple more balls.
I'm in too many out of bounds.
Well, it's hard.
too.
Here you go, Sam. It's hard because you're hitting against such a small table. Now I'm going to make it really hard for them. Let's see how our coaches do, kids. Add this to your repertoire of exercises against the wall. So Sam and Katie, just pause for a second. I want you to start back here. Can I demonstrate? You're going to
Absolutely.
start back here, and you're going to move in as close as you can get to the wall until you almost touch that wall, and then back up while keeping that ball going. Back up, and then move back in, and see if you guys can keep going like a xylophone. Go.
You know, Bill, one thing I do when I go to net is I get big like a bear just to intimidate my opponent and make them feel like there's no way to get around me before I volley in front of them.
That sounds ferocious.
I'd be scared if I saw that.
Yes. Let's see how the bear
So we're starting,
volleys.
we're
Let's go.
starting far, Coach Bill, right?
Yeah, I'm watching both of you with both eyes. Good. I love how they're moving your feet beautifully.
Oh.
And this is exceptionally difficult. Now, I know it'll be easier on the side wall of your school or at the big garage door. You guys are doing an amazing job demonstrating on such a small target area. And I hope you're doing just as well at home. These are a range of exercises that are really difficult. Okay, now on this drill, I'm going to ask only Sam. Can you pause for a second, Katie?
Sure
And you and
thing,
I will
Coach
both
Bill.
watch him.
Love it.
He's going to do 2 volleys, back up, let it bounce, and then hit it against the wall.
Okay.
So on that third ball, you're going to let it bounce, and then you're going to come back in where you can be bear-like, and then back up, and then back in. So let's see it. Let's see if you can vary the rhythm on this one.
All right, I'll give it a shot. Oh.
Here you go. It's okay. This is a hard exercise. There's no question. You have to be very precise, off the ground. 1, 2, okay?
And the only way to get better is by messing up, right?
That's right. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. One of the things that's so wonderful about tennis is it really is a game of managing your mistakes. you tend to lose, even in close matches, you tend to lose a good percentage of the points. So it really does teach you great mental skills to translate. So Katie, let's see you do that now that you've seen Sam do so well. Go, let's do it on both sides. Good, 2 in the air, 1 on the bounce. 2 in the air, 1 on the bounce. You're doing a great job, and look how engaged they are. One of the reasons I like this so much is that the wall is providing constant practice. They're hitting that ball, quietly absorbing that ball. It's a million times better than sitting still playing a video game or anything like that. Let's pause for 1 second. Katie, you asked a great question earlier. May I have that ball?
Sure thing.
What do you do if you live in an area where there's no wall, or worse, like where I grew up, my mom and dad wouldn't let me use the garage wall? You can do a variation on that, where I'm keeping the ball in the air and I want you to hit it back to me in the air. And don't hurt me. And I'm at the moment catching it with 1 hand, but you can start off catching with 2 hands like this. Good.
And Bill, I have a question. If you don't have a racket at home, can you still get the hand-eye work just with a ball and a wall?
You can. You sure can. You can just throw that ball against the wall and practice receiving.
Can we try that?
And yeah, let's see you
can do
try
it
it.
like this, right?
That's a good job, yeah.
Oh,
Whoops, that's handball. Come
that is
on.
handball.
Good. Good job. It's a little easier to do on the forehand side, this exercise that you're talking about. It's harder to do when it gets to the, for me, it's the left side, the backhand, because you'll be using the back of your hand forward. So we're going to get right into 1v1 action. Sam, I want you to be the parent, and you're going to be the little child.
Aww.
And you're going to be keeping the ball in play. You're catching, you're throwing. And what I'm going to challenge Sam to do is, instead of catching with 2 hands, so he can work on his athletic skill development as well, you're going to catch with 1 hand each time, and I want you to toss 1 to Katie's right, where she'll play a forehand, and 1 to Katie's left, where she'll play a backhand.
And
Katie's going to do her best to keep her racket centered and out in front and just receive the ball like this, keeping her racket hardly moving. It's like this, crisscross, spread, okay?
So we're taking everything we learned before.
Everything you learned before, and you must play every ball in the air, and Sam, you must catch everything in the air. You can drop your racket right now, you're going to catch it. Go.
Okay.
Fantastic. You guys are experts at this. I love it. And Sam's catching everything with 1 hand, which is, of course, requiring more athleticism. You're doing
Ooh.
great. That time he caught it with his left hand, throwing with his right hand. That's clever,
is
too. So you have 2
freestyling.
balls,
Hey.
you're catching with 1, throwing with the other, catching with 1, throwing with the other. That's great. Now, since you've mastered that, let's get on to, presuming you both have rackets, I want to see you keeping the ball in the air back and forth. The ball cannot touch the ground. That's the exercise here. Keep the ball in the air, and I want you to hit it appropriately softly enough. You're not trying to win this. It's cooperative. You're trying to keep the ball going back and forth. Let's see if you can go up to 20 while I'm talking.
All right.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Let's do it.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I love it.
4, 5.
Thing that I admire so much is look at how they're
7,
moving their feet.
8,
No one's standing
9,
still like they're a
10,
horse drinking
11,
water. Keep your
12,
feet moving.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Oh my gosh, how's that for a dive?
No.
How's that for a dive? That is pretty good on the turf here.
Oh.
Now,
How many did the kids at home get?
as the players are getting better, I'm going to ask them to go faster, a faster cadence, because now they're expert. They've been doing this for almost a full minute. Let's see you get that ball going like this. Keep it on a lower trajectory, no loopies. Go. Hit it faster
3,
to each other.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
In the air,
9,
everything in the air. Nothing should bounce in this exercise. Force yourself to move your
5,
feet.
6, 7.
That's
8,
very good.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15,
Pause.
16.
Pause for a second. Now, just for fun, I want you to put your non-dominant hand behind your back like this. So your left hand behind your back, so it forces you to really receive the ball with one hand. Go.
You ready, Sam?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
You guys are doing amazing well, and you're keeping it low. And as you get better and better, I can separate them further. So instead of doing this from 12 feet apart, I'll ask them to go 15, 20 feet apart, then 25 feet apart, and then 30 feet apart. And you can practice these in your backyard. You can practice this on your driveway. You don't necessarily need a tennis court, as you can observe here. We're doing this on the Chelsea Piers turf. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to do a really difficult drill.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be our challenge drill. And this is going to be a test of whether you can volley well or not.
Our final challenge, huh, Bill?
When the ball arrives, you have to touch it once, about 6 inches in the air, and then tap it back to your teammate. So you tap it once and then hit it. So they're going to have to learn how to hit the ball both softly and then firmly to their teammate. On your marks, get set, go. Touch it once.
Oh, touch it once.
Touch it once
go.
and then back to your teammate. Touch it once
a
and back to your
practice
teammate.
round.
You'll notice they're having to move their feet more. Move those feet. Move those feet a little bit more. Touch it once and then back to your teammate.
And it's okay to do a double touch if you need it, right?
That's right. And a variation on that to the question you're asking, Katie, is if you have a parent and only one racket between you, you toss it and the player holding the racket has to touch it and hit back. This is a great exercise. It's teaching you feel. It's teaching you racket head control, and it's also teaching you movement skills. You have to be effective at receiving the ball to do this. Guys, you did a great job. Let's pause. I hope we're hearing a round of applause there from all of our
Great
students
job,
there.
campers. Great job,
everybody.
campers.
Great job,
Woo.
Sam. Great job, Katie. Well
Thanks,
done.
Coach Bill.